Hey there, my friends. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. Today I have my 5 cards, 1 kit using the Brutus Monroe Comfort and Joy November 2020 inspiration box. So let's go ahead and get started. I went ahead and stamped out all the images. This is the set that comes in the kit, and oh my gosh, I'm in love with this set. It's just beautiful. So just to save a little time, I stamped them all out onto some alcohol marker cardstock using my Raven Detail ink. And then here they are all fussy cut. So let's go ahead and get started with our first card. We're going to make a shaker card. And I'm excited because I have that die that came in the kit. And it is so cool. It measures 4 inches by 4 inches when completely cut out. And I have a piece of red cardstock that I'm going to take this through my die cutting machine over. That will fit onto an A2 size card. But I went ahead and decided to make it a square card because I just thought it'd be different and fun. And so I'm going to have a 5.5 inch by 5.5 inch square card all ready to go when the time comes. And just remember that if you do make a square card, you will have to put extra postage on it for whatever reason. But yeah, so that's it. So here is my cardstock. This is some whitewash cardstock that I had cut down to 5.5 inches by 11 inches so that when I scored it 5.5 inches, it is a perfect square of 5.5 inches all around. Alright, so to turn this little piece into a shaker element, I'm going to use some 1/8 inch Scor-Tape all around the edges. That fits perfectly all around that square. And then I'm going to need some acetate. I use cheap acetate. It's actually transparency film, and I get it in a giant bulk box. It's like by Apollo. I will have it linked down below. And the reason I get bulk is because I tend to use it on the front and the back, and I'll show you that trick. But yeah, now you can't heat emboss on this type of acetate, but it does work well. Alright, so the next thing I'm doing is I'm actually using some Darice skinny strips of foam tape. I am not doubling this up. You could double it up if you really wanted those shaker elements to just shake all over the place. But this actually worked fine, and I put a lot of sequins from the kit into there. Now, you definitely want to take off your release paper before you put your sequins in there, because you can have a tendency to bump those around like I did here, and then that'll stick to the acid or the foam tape, which you don't want. But it's fine. I worked around it, and then you can even sometimes bump them out. But yeah, take that release paper off before you put your sequins in. Don't do what I did. And then here I'll put that piece of acetate on the back of it. That way I can easily put this onto my cover or my card base without any issues. And I can move it around and manipulate it however I want. I'm going to take my base and put that into my Misty, and I'm going to stamp out the sentiment. And I just love the sentiment. I love it so much, in fact, that I'm using it on almost all the cards that I make today. It's just perfect. I have not seen this. I'm sure it's maybe a sentiment that has been on other sentiments, but I've never, or other stamp sets, but I haven't seen it, and I love it. And just think, you could use that even like when the kids finally do go back to school and they're not doing this virtual stuff anymore. Wouldn't that be fun to send that to your other mom friends or dad friends? It's the most wonderful time of the year. But for now, we're making Christmas cards. So I'm going to use some liquid glue and adhere down my rug and my Christmas tree over the top of that. And this card doesn't have too much bulk. It's just a little bit, since that I only used one layer of the foam tape. And this is the only card where I actually show the stamping on the inside. I have some Game Over Simon Hurley Create ink, and I'm stamping the presents just along that bottom edge. But you could do that for like all the cards you do. I just don't show it. And that's going to finish off our first card today. I really love how this turned out. I think it turned out even better in person than it did in my head. So that is card number 1. For card number 2, we are going to build a scene. So I have some Nina Desert Storm cardstock that I'm trimming down. I think it measures about 2.5 inches by the 4 1/4. It might be a little bit bigger or smaller than that 2.5. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto the bottom. That's the flooring. And I highly recommend getting re-inkers with your ink pads, because I mean, I use the heck out of my Raven Detail ink, and I finally re-inked it again today. I re-ink it every once in a while, but it always makes the world of difference, so I don't know why I don't do it more often. All right, we're going to move on to our background, which I'm using one of the foilables, and I'm going to go ahead and just blend some ink on this. This is some Simon Hurley Create Midnight Snack ink. I wanted to foil it desperately, but as some of you know, my laminator pooped out the other day, and I did go rush out and grab a new laminator. I bought it from Target. It was the Scotch brand, and I am having zero luck with it getting to do any foiling. Laminate's fine, but it does not foil. So I'm going to have to figure something out. I don't know what I'll do, but I'd love to get a mink. It's on my Christmas list, but it's just, as of now, just not in the stars. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to, keep doing my research and find out what would be the next step, because I do miss foiling, and I know some of y'all have had some really good luck with some other laminators out there. And I did like my Amazon Basics, but I guess I need something that is probably just going to be used primarily for doing some foiling. All right, moving on. We did use some Grrr ink on our floor just to add a little bit of shadowing. So now we're just going to start gluing down our elements to make the scene. So I've got the window. I'm just going to glue that down with a little bit of liquid glue. And then we're going to put the drapes on, which is just really a cool element, how you can extend those or make those as short or as long as you need them to be. And the reason I like that so much is, with some little creative stamping, you can make that rod go even longer if you wanted to add like a couple windows or whatnot. And then you just add those over the top of each other, and it looks like one continuous window. And then we'll glue down our menorah. And then I have a Hanukkah card, all ready to go here for one of my Jewish friends. All right, I'll glue down my flooring. And then we're just going to glue this to our card base. This is the card bases that I'm using that are A2 size are all whitewash card bases. I just cut those down to 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches and then scored at 4.25 inches. And so they'll all be side folding A2 size cards. And once that panel is glued down to the card base, this card is ready to go. That's going to finish off card number 2. Card number 3 is going to be another scene, and this time we're using the Trinity Stamps Room Builder die that Brutus Monroe carries in the store. It's got a lot of great dies to it, perfect for your slimline scenes that you might want to make with a room, and it just went perfectly with this kit. So I cut that out of some whitewash cardstock, just the base, the main base, and I had thought about using another one of those foilables for the wallpaper background, but I decided against it because I wanted to be able to stamp my sentiment right onto it. And so I'm just going to do some ink blending. So I'm going to pull out some of my Heffy tape, and it's basically like a Post-it tape, but it's much thicker. And then I'll just cover the area that I don't want, which would be the beadboard on the back and the floor. And then we're going to bring in some Triple Berry, Simon Hurley Create Triple Berry ink, and I'm just going to lightly blend that using my Pink and Main Ergonomic brush all across that background. So it's going to make this nice mauve kind of background. Now, I didn't have any mauve walls growing up, but we did have some mauve furniture. My mom had bought this gorgeous furniture. It reminds me of the chair in this stamp set, and so that's why I chose these colors, because she had this like beautiful blue, like a Holly Hobby kind of blue, and the pretty mauve like accents in the room. It was just beautiful. And so that was my inspiration. Next, I'm trying to add a little bit of dimension between where the baseboard would be and your flooring. So I'm just flicking my C3, or I think this is my W3 Copic on the floor. And then after I've kind of lined things out to see where they want to go, I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Once again, it's the most wonderful time of the year. And then I'm going to take my glue, well, first we're going to make our base, which was some more of that whitewash cardstock that I had cut down to 7 inches by 8.5 inches and scoring at 3.5 inches. And then I'm just going to, now my base is all ready to go, so I can put my card front on top of that. And we're going to go ahead and glue the panel right down to the card base, just using some more of that liquid glue. I like to use the liquid glue because it does give me a little bit of wiggle room. You could use tape or a tape runner or whatnot, but this works really well. I'm again bringing out my pieces. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and put the tree down first so that I can work from left to right. Well, actually I work from the outside in, but I decided to put the presents down, the tree down. We're going to go ahead and place the chair and the TV. We'll put the TV down and the rug. And I have 3 of the little animals because if y'all watch me at all, you know I have a dog and 2 cats. So I colored them to be just like my dog and 2 cats. And the dog was like, it took no effort because my dog is that color, white and black. Lolly is white and black, so it's perfect. And this is how they would sleep. So the pup would be on the rug, and Miles would definitely be on the seat part of the chair, while Max would be on the upper part of the chair. So there's Max going up on the upper part and Miles going on the lower part. Actually, this scene would be completely inaccurate for them. I'm almost certain we may not be able to have a tree up. We'll see. But they're climbers, and Max and Miles would be all over the place. For a final bit of embellishment, I did grab out the sequins, some silver ones. I'm just putting those down on my background. These sequins always remind me of my mom and I putting together like little felt kits, the Bucilla felt kits, because they always came with sequins and seed beads. But so there you go. That finishes off card number 3. For card number 4, I decided to do a mini slimline. So I took some of the red cardstock that came in the kit, and I'm just cutting this down to be a little less than 3 inches and a little less than 6 inches, because my card base is some Nina Desert Storm cardstock that I cut 6 inches by 6 inches, and I'm scoring it at 3 inches. So when it's closed, it'll be 3 inches by 6 inches. That are the dimensions of a mini slimline. My idea with this was to make it look a little bit like a door. I wanted to use both of the stencils on here. And so what I've got here are the stencils, and I'm going to start with the wreath stencil. I'm just kind of taping this down. I've got some Simon Hurley Create inks. I'm going to start with some later Gator. And the green works best on the green, obviously. That'll stand out a little bit, but remember, this is colored cardstock, and trying to do dye-based inks on colored cardstock can be a little bit difficult. So it works fine here on the green because I'm using green, but when I move to the red, I find that it's obviously a problem. It's like I forgot that dye-based inks aren't going to show up very well on red cardstock, but I do fix it. So I'm going to add my bow. And this is where I'm going to pull in that gorgeous glitter glaze after I make a mess with it first. That gorgeous glitter glaze that came in the kit, and I'm just going to put that over the bow. And when I get that all ready to go, I'll set that off to the side to dry. We're going to bring in some more of that glitter glaze later on for our lights, but I'm going to set this off to the side to dry, and then I'll fussy cut that out later. Here's where I started using the Simon Hurley Create inks, and I pulled out that fake plant that was going to be for my strands of lights. And you know, it works okay, but obviously green onto a red, a dye-based green onto red is going to look brown. And as you can see, it's not looking good. I even did the lights in like a blue color, and everything just kind of looks the same. So here I decided to pull in the Distress Oxides because those will show up onto colored cardstock. And I love the look of Distress Oxides on colored cardstock. This first color is Squeezed Lemonade. I am going to go back over what I already did using some different Distress Oxides. They'll sort of pick up their colors underneath. It's just what they do. But for starters, we went ahead and did this, making sure to mask off the lights up above it and below it. This stencil's really cool because it's super easy to line up. You've got your 3 separate light strands, and they've got the little kind of, I guess, indentions next to them. So it makes it really easy to line up over what you've already done. This next color that I did is the Peacock Feathers. And then for our light strand, we're actually going to use Lucky Clover. I don't need to show you all of that. It's basically just ink blending over the top. And then we'll end up doing our final strand of lights, or not strand of lights, but our final light bulbs, but we're going to pull in the glitter glaze. So I've masked that off. I do apologize, my camera stops in the middle of this, so you don't get to see me actually assemble the rest of the card, but I am going to stamp Welcome on the bottom from the stamp set. After that, I'll fussy cut out the wreath, and I'm going to attach it to our little door here with some foam squares, just because I thought that would be fun to have it popped up. And we already have a little bit of dimension with the lights as it is. And you'll find here that as I'm putting on those last strand of lights, I just peel off that last, or that bottom piece of the mask that I have, just so I'm trying not to touch the lights that I've already done. And this worked out just fine. But after this, we're going to assemble the full card. Sorry again that my camera pooped out on me. But here it is. I think it looks like a lot of fun, a mini slimline. All right, for our final card today, we're going to pull out that delicious glitter stock, and we're going to cut it down. I like to cut mine down into A2 size and then go from there. So I'm trimming this down to be about, I don't know, maybe 3.5 inches by 4 1/4. And then I'm going to take one of the foilables, and we're going to have that be our background. And then I'll take the last little bits of what I've colored, which would be another pup and the 2 kitties and a rug. And we're going to go ahead and glue all those onto the rug. I was trying to find the best way to put them on there, and I decided that it would be best if I did it like mine would be. If Lolly would ever get the cat, let the cats get next to her. They would get as close as they possibly could. But she's just not having it. You know, she's 15 and a half years old, so she's over it. She did not want kitties in the house, but that's, you know, that's the way it is. She tolerates them now. All right, so we're going to glue everything down to our card panel, and then we'll get ready to stamp our sentiment. So I've got some Raven cardstock that I've used my magic powder bag on. I'm stamping my sentiment using some embossing ink and then covering that with some alabaster embossing powder. And then I'll heat set that till that is smooth and melted. And you'll know because it goes from a matte finish to a shiny finish. And then I'm going to take this and put this into my guillotine trimmer and trim it down. And then I'll just put like a little slant side there. And then we're going to glue that down to the front as well. You could use some foam tape. Remember, this is glitter stock, so you'd have to use something fairly strong. So either foam tape or a liquid glue like I'm using would work best. And then I'll trim off the excess. And then our card panel is once again some more of that whitewash cardstock. And then I'll just glue this down to the front of that card base. And then that's going to finish off card number 5. Love how this one turned out too. So super fun. Christmas colors. That glitter stock is amazing. And now let's go ahead and take a look at all the cards that I made today. I would love to know which one was your favorite, if you had a favorite. That's probably, as I've said before, my favorite part of making the cards is just hearing which ones you guys like best. You guys have been really awesome about, you know, leaving lots of love and all your commenting, and I really do appreciate that. It does help me keep producing videos, so thank you for that. Thanks for using my affiliate links, all that jazz. You guys are awesome. So if you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, I will see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.